I'm going to discuss a very important and fundamental concept in program and project management in relation to scope, schedule, and budget. We often refer to this relationship or a relationship that tends to be constrained, very tightly coupled when you bring up these key elements and these key areas of program and project management. These three areas: scope, schedule, and cost. In some circles, budget. And there is this very tightly coupled relationship, which indicates or presupposes that you tend to create an imbalance when you touch or modify any of these three areas. The graphic that is currently projected highlights the fact you will notice there's a broken set of arrows on the budget side. What does that mean on the scope side? What that essentially is saying is that if you modify the scope of the work, it has a very significant impact. Sometimes we can even get very dramatic by saying it has exponential, not just direct, it has exponential impact on budget and schedule on the two other sides. And similarly, if you change schedule, if you change budget, it does have corresponding exponential impact on the other two areas of the triangle as represented here. And so a project becomes imbalanced when scope increases without a corresponding adjustment of some sort in the other two areas. It's very fascinating. There's been lots of theses and dissertations written on this tightly coupled relationship or tightly constrained relationship that fundamentally exists in project execution. And this constraint is observed amongst the three areas, as I have pointed out. Right within the three areas of the graphic that I'm currently projecting, you will pick up the reference, the project's MOV. The project's MOV, what do I mean by that? Essentially, I mean the measurable organizational value of the project. In some documentation and in some sectors of the global economy, this project MOV will be referred to as measurable project goals, tangible outcomes, impact on communities. Essentially, what is this project's value to its sponsors? And I really like this term because we do not implement projects for the sake of doing them. Projects are set out, they are very expensive and very time consuming investment on behalf of sponsors and on behalf of corporations. And so projects are executed with intended outcomes anticipated. And these intended outcomes have to be measurable. And so the reference project's MOV, it's so accurate, it's right on. What is the value, and not just the value, but the measurable value that we can measure. It is so tangible of the project to its sponsors. It's in the middle of this graphic. What is it saying? Essentially, what this is saying, what this is depicting is that if you play with or if you tweak, modify any of the three areas of this triangle, it does have an impact. It does threaten successful achievement of the MOV. If you change budget without a corresponding and careful analysis of its impact on scope and schedule, guess what you have done? You have perhaps unintentionally or even intentionally impacted the anticipated project's MOV or measurable project goals and outcomes. This is a fundamental grasp of why essentially project managers are often trained and often groomed to manage to the triple constraint. Although some of us have written over the years about the shortcomings of this metric, and we'll get into that subject shortly. That brings us to project estimation and work breakdown structure. This is a construct, very powerful construct. When you hear the reference project estimation, work breakdown structure, what does it mean?